Hello, 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 world. This is Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And I am going to talk about the Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, and the Anthony case because I want to share with you this minister, Carmelo, what this minister has said. So let me just go ahead and share with you what the minister said. And I'd like to give my perspective on this. And also, let me give my condolences to the Metcalf family, the Austin Metcalf death. I have two sons, and no one should have to go through what I'm sure both of these families are going through. One life has been lost, Austin Metcalf, my condolences again. And the other life, Carmelo Anthony's life, could be lost as well. And again, Louise Hicks here. Please share, give your comments, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, because I'm going to give my perspective. But first, let me share with you what this minister has to say about this tragedy, because it is a tragedy on both sides. So let me share his comment, and then I'm going to stop it and talk about it a little bit along the way. So here we go.
Metcalf's funeral was, I believe, yesterday, and I just want to send an apology to his family members on the behalf of the Black community, on the behalf of our racism, our ignorance.
Let me stop it right here because this pastor's name I did a little research about him, and his name is Jordan Wells. He is a pastor, he's an author, and he has shared on his website because I wanted to do some research before I did the podcast about this pastor. And he wants to apologize on behalf of the Black community. Yet he's calling us ignorant, racist, and I resent that. As a 74 years of age Black woman, I resent this so-called pastor who is a former drug addict out here claiming to be a pastor, yet advocating that the Black community is ignorant, and he's saying that we are racist. First of all, you don't speak on my behalf, Pastor Wells. With all due respect to you, you do not speak for me, nor do you speak for the Black community at large. You are totally out of line. And who are you to judge? You're supposed to be a pastor, and here you are judging the entire Black community. That tells me that you apparently needs to get some therapy because perhaps the drugs that you've taken have some residual effects upon your brain for you to make that statement, first of all. Because I know as a Black woman, 74 years of age, old enough to be your mother, maybe grandmother, depending on how old you are, you need help. That's obvious by your statement. And I know you've written books and you've shared your life on different podcasts or different at different events. And I don't know whether you're a pastor of a church or not, but you said you were in politics. I did some research on you. You said you're in politics. You are in the state of Florida, stating that you were on something had to do with the governor there, Governor DeSantis, who I have no respect for either because of his behavior, wanting to deny us as Black people our history, and that's not going to happen. You can't deny us our history because the history speaks for itself and it's truth. And for you to make that statement and apologize on behalf of the Black community because we are ignorant, you are the ignorant one because you're making a blanket statement on behalf of the Black community. Just do for yourself and speak for yourself because you don't speak for me. And I'm sure the Black community, those of us that are intelligent enough to recognize your inappropriate behavior, judging, beg to differ with you. And I'm one of them. And I'm one who has the mentality of what God has spoken in the scripture. 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And you're not exercising power, you're not exercising love, and you're not exercising a sound mind by what you just that one statement. And I haven't even finished um the statement that you're making. So let's go and proceed with your statement that you're making.
The fact that we're justifying the murder of your son in the name of race. He's a human being. He was a good kid. He was a kid that did deserve to have his life snuffed out by some thug.
Let's stop right here. You're calling yourself a minister again, and you're making a blanket statement again about the Black community and what we stand for. Any righteous minded person is not out here praising what has happened to two teenagers because I know I'm not, and I know the Black community at large. Because this is a sad situation. It's such a tragedy, and it should have never happened. And you don't even know what happened. And here you are. I'm sure you don't even know Karmeloanthony. You don't know his family, and you're calling him a thug. What does that say about you as a minister? It appears that you're the thug, and I'm calling it the way I see it as a 74 years of age Black woman who has gone through a lot and has seen and experienced this systemic discrimination that's all over America and the double standard. And nobody is glorifying the murder of Austin Metcalf that I know. And I'm sure any righteous minded person will not be uh, glorifying the death. And to call this young boy a thug, that goes to show your mentality. And you're calling yourself a minister? Well, I'm not buying into you being a minister, not a righteous minded minister and a person of God. I'm not buying into it by your behavior and what you're saying. And again, you're not speaking for the Black community, calling us ignorant and racist. You need to go and study your history because obviously you don't know the history of Black people in America. In fact, most Black people in America are very forgiving, very forgiving. Look what the Black judge did when Botham Jean was killed by this white woman in Dallas, Texas. She gave the woman a Bible. Look what happened when Dylan Ruth, a white young man, shot up all those people in the Black church. Black people were forgiving. So why aren't you speaking on some of these murders Look at the other person who traveled from another state. I think his name was Rittenhouse, and killed three people who happened to be white people. Nobody in their righteous minds want to see anybody get killed. And this was a crisis and an unfortunate situation. And here you are expressing yourself as being a righteous minded person and a minister. So let's continue. I had to, when I saw this, I said, I got to elaborate on this person because I'm a very spiritual person. And what would Jesus do or say about what you're out here peddling? Think about it.
And I say he's a thug because when you kill anybody, you're a thug, right? Any type of murder makes you this thuggish behavior. And so he deserves, and it's sad that they don't offer the death penalty, and that they don't offer a life. He won't be getting life in prison, they're saying, because of his age, which is sad because he deserves both. Because it's
Now, here you are advocating death. You are a minister, right? Isn't one of the commandments say thou should not kill? And one person is already dead. And now you want the other person to be dead as well. But you are a minister. I'm not buying it. And you said you were a drug addict. You've had a very troubled life, according to what I read, because I did my research and my homework. And that's what I usually do because I want to go on my podcast and provide a perspective that's of love and of a sound mind. And you don't sound like you have either love or a sound mind when dealing with this particular situation that is such a crisis. And it's a very sad situation. And even the father of Austin Metcalf has come out and made multiple statements that shows that he's more righteous minded and more rational than you are, and you're supposed to be a minister. How dare you to speak and call the Black community ignorant when you are showing that you are the ignorant one? And yes, I said it, and I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. Because you are a disgrace at this point about this whole tragedy that should have never happened the way you are coming across. So sad, very sad. You said you were using K2, and K2 is a fake form of marijuana, really, that's probably filtered in all kinds of additives, who knows? And I can share with you that I have a bachelor's degree in social work. I study people. I have never taken illegal drugs, never smoked marijuana, never did any type of drugs. There are a lot of decent Black people out here, and you're out here sounding like Candace Owens, who was always putting Black people down. And now she's attempting, from what I understand, to rebrand herself. And I'm not buying her story either. I've done a podcast on her as well that got thousands of views. So I am just appalled at what you are saying and how you are calling the Black community ignorant and racist. And Black people are the most forgiving ethnic group that I have seen and envisioned on social media. And there are some out here that have bad behaviors. I don't condone any of it. And I don't condone hate. But it seems like you're condoning hate because it seems like you're hating on the Black community from what you're saying. So you need to check yourself. And maybe, like I said, it appears that you need to get some therapy because you appear to have some residual effects of whatever you have gone through in life. And like I said, I did some research on you. And you even said something about suicide. So you're not of sound mind and you are not showing love here. So let's continue.
This boy will never see the light of day. So I refuse to submit to racism. I'm not a racist person. I love white people just as much as I love black people. I'm a preacher. I'm a righteous preacher. So I don't see color because God won't.
Let's stop right here. As far as I'm concerned, you're not a righteous preacher and you don't see color. God has created multiple colors of human beings. I'm looking at you, and I would be remiss to say I don't see color. Yes, I do see color. I see you as a black man that's calling yourself a minister of the gospel. And with eyes wide open, you see color. I see color in so many things, flowers, God's beautiful planet that God has given us when we ourselves have destroyed it by hate. And people like you who spewing hate against Black people. And I know for one, I am not one of hate. I am one who like truth. And I know this America is a very divided country due to hate, due to systemic racism. But perhaps you're one of those people who probably will say, like some of these others have said, America is not a racist country. And we know this country is so divided, and it's divided because of racism and discrimination. And you need an education because apparently you are either a hypocrite or you know exactly what you're doing to get maybe some brownies from some white people that are hateful like you are and who have the mindset that you have, the white supremacists. Perhaps that's the type of behavior that you love. And I've been around a long time, much longer than you have, seen a lot more than you have. That's why I can address what you're saying from a different perspective because you're not showing any love here. And it's pretty disgusting to me that you're putting down the entire Black community. That's not love, that's hate. And perhaps it's self hate within you that you need to examine because it appears to me that you need therapy. So hopefully you will get some. And I don't care how many books you've written, I don't care how you say you are a righteous minded person. I don't see it because you're here judging the entire Black community based on a tragedy that should have never happened. And you're being very insensitive to the whole situation that happened. So let you finish. I'll let you finish this out and then I will close out.
Allow me to. So I just apologize to the family that has to bear this on the behalf of a community that accepts and loves violence.
Okay, let's stop because he's done. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And once I saw this minister, and there are some others out here too that are doing the same thing or saying the same thing, and all you're doing is adding fuel to the fire. Isn't it enough that this family, the Metcalf family, have lost a son, a child? And for you to come out here and add fuel to the fire with what my grandmother would call food talk, because that's all you're doing is food talk. You don't even know what happened. And for all of these other people out here, I did one podcast about it, and this is the second one, and I'm going to follow this case. You don't even know what happened. You weren't there. I wasn't there. And I'm not passing judgment. I'm not the jury. All the facts have not come in yet. And you're not the jury. And you're here calling this young man a thug. You're the one acting like a thug. And you're supposed to be a minister, a pastor. That is so sad, really sad. And it tells me that you need therapy. And I don't care how many books you've written. I don't care if you say you are a minister, because there are a lot of people out here calling themselves ministers, but they are not acting according to what I just shared with you. 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And there are a lot of them out here, ministers, who are not acting accordingly, because they're not acting with love and they're not acting with a sound mind, and you're one of them. So with that said, again, I'm Louise Hicks. I'd like to hear your comments, everyone, about this, because it is a tragedy and we don't have all the facts. And here's a person out here judging like so many others are. They've already tried and convicted, and they don't even know all the facts. So sad. And we're supposed to be a Christian nation. However, America cannot be a Christian nation with all the hate. There's too much hate. And this is so sad. And you're here judging, and you don't even know what happened. Nor do I. Nor am I the jury. Nor am I a judge. However, I have practiced law myself, and I know a lot about the law, believe me, because I've practiced and I have won. I practice law on behalf of myself. That's the disclaimer. I have not done it, and I was going to go to law school. And I'm 74 and been around for a long, long time. And I've seen a lot. I've gone through a lot. And I do know this country is full of hate and a lack of love, and it's not carrying itself as a Christian nation. And it was found on not being a Christian nation, because how can you classify a person that you brought over here enslaved with all kinds of atrocities as two-thirds of a person, and it's still going on? The racism is still going on. So Pastor Jordan Wells, let me make sure I got your name correct, because I did a lot of work on you. Jordan Wells, you said you even was diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit disorder. So I would suggest to you, Pastor Wells, that you do some soul searching, because that video you just did does not show that you are a righteous, rational minded person. And with that said, again, everyone, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please share, give it a like, thumbs up, and by all means, leave your comments, because that situation is such a tragedy. No one should have to bury their child who was killed, and no one should have to go through a crisis of your son allegedly doing the killing, because I really wasn't there and I don't know what happened. And I can say that the father appears to be a rational minded person, and he would probably have a thing or two maybe to say to you too. And it might not be something that you would want to hear. from what I've heard from the father of Austin Metcalf. And again, my condolences. And I will close my podcast and I will see you in the next video. Everyone, I always tell you, your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command, and something that we need to start teaching our children from infancy about how to deal with conflict resolution. All of our children, no matter what ethnicity you're from, we need to start training and teaching from infancy because this is a tragedy that should have never happened. And it's so unfortunate because both families' lives are shattered now forever. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast. Please share, like, give it a thumbs up, and by all means, leave your comments. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Much love.